Welcome to Mnephonics, learning, memory, and cognitive health. Most people think memory belongs to students. I disagree. Memory belongs to anyone trying to live well. If you are between 30 and 50, you already know the feeling I am about to describe. You are walking down a hallway at work when a colleague comes toward you smiling, clearly expecting recognition. You have known her for 2 years. Her face arrives instantly. Her name does not. The name arrives somewhere nearby in the mind, but not where you can reach it in time. So, you do what adults now do almost automatically. You reach for your phone, not to call her, to find her. You scroll through an email, a calendar invite, a Slack thread. There it is. You say the name. You smile. The moment passes. Something has shifted, though, and you feel it on the walk back to your desk. The phone solved the immediate problem so efficiently that the deeper problem nearly disappeared from view. The problem was never the missing name. The problem was the missing retrieval. A year ago, the name would have arrived on its own. 5 years ago, the retrieval would not have required effort at all. The phone is not a memory surrogate. The phone is a memory substitute. A surrogate stands in temporarily. A substitute replaces. When the mind learns retrieval is no longer necessary, the mind stops practicing retrieval. I want to pause here because I am about to correct a metaphor that gets used constantly, including by me. People love to call memory a muscle. The muscle goes unused. The muscle weakens. You have heard it 100 times. The image is wrong. Memory is not a muscle. Memory is closer to a path through a forest, a route, an association, a network of connections the mind has learned to travel. An abandoned path does not lose mass. An abandoned path loses access. Grass enters first, then weeds. Then the ground itself forgets that people once walked there daily. Retrieval fades the same way, not by weakness, by overgrowth. At the same time, most adults notice the loss is no longer a moment in a hallway. The loss has become a habit. Most adults never say the deeper fear aloud. The missed name is small. The larger question arrives afterward. What else no longer arrives the same way it once did? Mnephonics begins there. A note on the name itself, because the word will sound familiar and the resemblance is real. Mnephonics, spelled Mnephonics, shares ground with mnemonics, Mnemonics, the family of memory techniques most of us learned as children. You have used them, even if the word is unfamiliar. Roy G. Biv, Roy G. Biv, Roy G. Biv, is the classroom name for the colors of the rainbow in order: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. The made-up name gives the mind something easier to hold than 7 separate colors. PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, PEMDAS, is the math class rule for the order of operations: parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. The acronym tells you which step to do first when an equation puts several operations in the same line. The method of loci is older, going back to the orators of ancient Greece and Rome. You picture a familiar place, your house, your office, a route you walk, and you mentally place each piece of a speech at a specific spot along the path. To deliver the speech, you walk the path in your mind and collect each idea where you left it. Politicians and trial lawyers still use a version of it. Those techniques work, and Mnephonics uses them: association, structure, imagery, repetition. Mnephonics absorbs the mnemonic toolkit and treats it as part of the larger work. The difference is what comes first. Mnemonics begins at processing. A fact arrives and the technique encodes it for later retrieval. The learning has already happened or has been skipped by the time the mnemonic appears. Mnephonics reverses the order. Learning comes first. Processing comes second. Understanding the material before you encode it. Encode the material before you attempt to retrieve it. Retrieval becomes reliable because the foundation underneath retrieval has been properly built. Put the difference plainly, a mnemonic helps you remember the 8 planets in order. Mnephonics helps you understand the solar system well enough that the order arrives on its own, along with everything the order implies: relative size, distance, composition, the reason some planets are rocky and others are gas, the reason Pluto was reclassified. The mnemonic is a useful tool inside the larger method. The larger method is what makes the tool worth using. I created Mnephonics in 1977 and incorporated the Mnephonics Institute in California in 2003. Nearly 50 years of teaching the sequence: learning first, processing second, retrieval as the result of both done properly. Before going further, we need to clarify what memory actually is, because most of us were taught to understand it incorrectly. Memory is not a storage room. Memory is not a filing cabinet from which the mind retrieves documents on request. Memory is active reconstruction. When you remember something well, the mind rebuilds the idea from several directions at once: meaning, context, association, structure, emotion. Strong memory does not sit beside intelligence as a separate faculty. Strong memory is intelligence at work. Weakened retrieval and thought weakens with it. Strengthened retrieval and thought sharpens. The research has pointed in the same direction for decades. Working memory predicts reasoning. Long-term retrieval predicts comprehension. The capacity to hold several ideas at once while moving between them, what cognitive scientists call fluid intelligence, rests on the same foundations Mnephonics trains. Most of us were taught that intelligence is largely fixed. Some people received more, others less, and the story ended there. The science no longer supports such a view. The mind behaves less like a static measurement and more like a living system that responds to repeated demand. The mind strengthens where it works. Practice retrieval, and retrieval improves. Practice attention, and attention deepens. Practice synthesis, and the mind becomes capable of holding greater complexity without fracture. The gain is not speed alone. The gain is depth. A trained reader finishes a chapter and carries the argument forward as living structure. He can examine it, compare it, connect it, challenge it. An untrained reader may retain an impression, perhaps a phrase or two, while the architecture dissolves almost immediately. The difference between those readers is not raw intelligence. The difference is method. Give the second reader the proper method, and something remarkable happens. The chapter survives. The argument remains intact. Connections begin to appear on their own. Comprehension deepens because the mind has learned how to hold the information rather than merely encounter it. So Mnephonics makes a larger claim than memory improvement. We are not teaching party tricks for remembering names, though the method handles names well. We are teaching people how to build a more capable mind. Return to the hallway for a moment. The same colleague is approaching, the same smile. This time, the name arrives before your hand reaches for the phone, not because you memorized a list, because the mind that produced the name has been trained to produce many other things. The sentence under pressure, the argument 3 meetings deep, the chapter you read last winter that suddenly applies to a problem you are facing today. Sharper thought, wider association, deeper compression, better judgment under load. Those are the actual benefits, not memory benefits alone. Cognitive benefits accumulating across decades. 35-year-old who trains the mind methodically can arrive at 50 with greater cognitive capacity than he possessed at 35. The reverse happens too. A capable adult who continuously outsources retrieval, navigation, patience, recall, and sustained attention may arrive at middle age with less sharpness than he once carried. Naturally, the trajectory matters. Mnephonics is not merely a memory system. Mnephonics is a learning system. And beneath that, a cognitive health system. The work teaches the mind to organize information, build durable associations, strengthen attention, deepen comprehension, and turn scattered knowledge into usable understanding. Memory is not the beginning. Memory is the consequence. When the mind understands clearly, organizes properly, connects meaningfully, and revisits intelligently, memory follows on its own, not as strain, as outcome. Over the coming year, this channel will explore how the adult mind actually learns, why interruption weakens attention, why stress narrows cognition toward immediate survival while pushing broader thought into the background, why sleep consolidates memory while poor sleep dismantles it. We will examine the hippocampus, where memory formation begins, along with the biological conditions researchers increasingly associate with cognitive decline. We will explore fasting, exercise, sleep, reading, writing, language, association, and the hidden architecture beneath clear thought itself. We will also examine technology carefully, because artificial intelligence may become the most powerful cognitive tool ever placed in human hands. Helpful and powerful, dangerous too. The danger is not technology replacement. The danger is cognitive surrender. Watch what happens when a professional lets the model write every difficult email. At first, he edits heavily. Months later, he sends the draft almost untouched, because constructing the sentence himself now feels slower than accepting the machine's answer. Capacity unused begins to fade. The same pattern appears in memory, synthesis, judgment, patience, and sustained attention. The small discipline that once formed the architecture of a working mind. You cannot outsource cognition and keep it. The mind that does not work weakens. The mind that works builds. Mnephonics exists to push against that drift, not with nostalgia, with method. The adult mind is not entering retreat. The adult mind is entering a different season of growth, one that requires structure more than youthful absorption. Children often learn through immersion. Adults learn through architecture, and most adults were never taught architecture. Schools train many of us to complete assignments, pass examinations, and retain information long enough to satisfy institutional demands. Very little attention was given to durable learning itself. The project never ended at graduation. The project renews itself every decade we remain alive. Mnephonics is for the person who wants a sharper mind, not merely a fuller notebook. The professional trying to think clearly while pressure fills the room. The parent trying to remain mentally present while raising children whose questions no longer have simple answers. The reader unwilling to forget every important book 1 month after finishing it. The adult unwilling to let convenience make the mind passive. Each week, this channel will take up one dimension of cognitive life. Some episodes will focus on method, how to encode names, how to read for retention, how to study until understanding genuinely belongs to you. Others will focus on physiology, why fasting may contribute to clarity, what walking contributes to thought, what sleep contributes to consolidation. Others will examine the culture itself, what the phone may be doing to attention, what social media may be doing to patience, what artificial intelligence may be doing to judgment. Every episode will offer at least one practical method you can begin using immediately. Stay with the work long enough, and something important begins to happen. The hallway changes. The name arrives. The book remains with you after the month has passed. The meeting finds you composed because you have slowly built the internal structure that holds composure under load. Cognitive health builds capacity. We now live in an age where machines remember almost everything for us. Convenient, powerful, yet every civilization eventually becomes shaped by the tools it stops questioning. The question before us is no longer whether machines can think. The question is whether human beings will continue to exercise the parts of thought that once made depth, judgment, patience, memory, and wisdom possible. Capacities unused do not wait forever. They fade. One convenience at a time. We built machines to remember for us. Now, we must decide what parts of thinking we still intend to keep. I'm Coach Sidnor. Welcome to Mnephonics.